Hello, and welcome to the Free Happy virtual event. My name's Stephen Wise. I'm the founder and the president of the Nonhuman Rights Project, and that happened about 25 years ago. The Nonhuman Rights Project, for those of you who might not know, is a civil rights organization, the only civil rights organization in the United States, focuses on attaining legal rights for non-human animals. This evening, our focus is on our client Happy, who is a female Asian elephant who's about 49 years old. She was kidnapped from her family about in the early 1970s, and she was brought with 6 other elephants to the United States, where she was sold for $800. And the other 6 elephants, and including Happy, were all named for Snow White's dwarfs. So Happy is actually not Happy, but Happy is the name of a dwarf. Happy then went to the Bronx Zoo as part of their exhibit. For the last 17 years, she has spent almost all of her time by herself, and this is during the summer months. She lives in a space that is about 1 acre, about the size of my yard, of a suburban yard here, and she lives by herself. Those of us who know about elephants, as you probably do, know that they are intensely social animals. They are evolved to move, and the idea that Happy would have to spend her whole life in 1 acre of land by herself, and that's during the summer months, is terrible. In the winter months, she's to move into a much smaller place. So Happy is not happy and is not made to be kept where she is. So the work of the Nonhuman Rights Project for the last 2 years has been to try to free Happy. So the Nonhuman Rights Project filed its lawsuit in October of 2018, and we have been struggling ever since to be able to have a judge order that Happy finally be freed from her imprisonment at the Bronx Zoo and sent to a sanctuary. As always, we could not succeed in doing any of the work we do without folks like you who support us in every way. And thank you for coming here again today. As part of your support, we look forward to being able to introduce you tonight to how the Nonhuman Rights Project works, to what we're trying to gain with Happy, how we're trying to gain it, and what the lawsuit means to Happy, to the Nonhuman Rights Project, and to you.
The evolution of the role of NhRP and the thinking that habeas corpus petitions can be brought on behalf of non-human animals is that we started with one case in 2013, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we kept on, and win or lose, we kept on fighting and bringing these petitions on behalf of other imprisoned chimpanzees until we finally did get to a judge who recognized the fact that yes, this is something that needs to be heard. I believe it has become common knowledge, not only as it's been said judicially, that non-human animals can be persons. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Stein, affectionately known as Liddy, and I am a staff attorney in New York Counsel for the Non-Human Rights Project. And I've been asked to speak to you today about the status of Happy's ongoing litigation. But before I do that, I would just like to sincerely and wholeheartedly thank everyone for participating in today's virtual rally and campaign. Please know that without your continued and ongoing support, we cannot do what we do, and that is fight to secure the freedom of arbitrarily and needlessly imprisoned non-human animals such as Happy. So, having said that, thank you, and let's move on to Happy. In late 2018, the Non-Human Rights Project filed a petition for writ of habeas corpus on behalf of Happy, in which we asked that the court recognize Happy's common law right to bodily liberty based on her autonomy, conclude that she is being unlawfully imprisoned at the Bronx Zoo, order that she be immediately released from this unlawful imprisonment, and also order that she then be sent to one of the 2 elephant sanctuaries in the United States where she could finally experience the peace, freedom, and dignity that she has so long been denied and is so entitled to. We filed Happy's petition in Orleans County in upstate New York for various legal reasons. And the judge, in fact, did issue the order to show cause, which is the legal equivalent of the writ of habeas corpus. And by doing so, she was saying that this is a case that should and needs to be heard. So what is extraordinarily historic about this is that this is the first time that an order to show cause or writ of habeas corpus was ever issued on behalf of an elephant. And it is actually the second time that it has been issued on behalf of a non-human animal. The first time being when a order to show cause was issued on behalf of our chimpanzee clients, Hercules and Leo, who were the first non-human animals ever to have a order to show cause or writ of habeas corpus issued on their behalf. And again, I cannot overemphasize enough how historic this is, because in fact, Hercules and Leo and Happy had their day, with respect to Happy, multiple days in court as a human being would. The Orleans County Court then granted the Bronx Zoo's motion to have the case transferred to Bronx Supreme Court, where it came before Justice Stewart, who heard 13 hours of oral argument over the course of 3 days. And while Justice Stewart concluded that she could not grant the petition because, regrettably, which was her word, she was bound by prior appellate decisions in 2 of our chimpanzee cases, she did conclude that Happy is autonomous. And because we believe that her decision is so significant in that respect, what I would actually like to do is read to you from her decision rather than me just trying to characterize what she said. So in her decision, she said that Happy is an extraordinary animal with complex cognitive abilities, an intelligent being with advanced analytic abilities akin to human beings. She is an intelligent, autonomous being who should be treated with respect and dignity, and who may be entitled to liberty. She also found that the arguments advanced by the NhRP are extremely persuasive for transferring Happy from her solitary, lonely, one-acre exhibit at the Bronx Zoo to an elephant sanctuary, and that Happy is more than just a legal thing or property. And finally, we are asking the First Department to recognize Happy's right to bodily liberty, reverse the lower court's dismissal of the petition, and send the case back to Justice Tuitt with instructions to order Happy's immediate release to one of the 2 elephant sanctuaries in the United States where her autonomy will be recognized to the fullest extent possible.
Happy's campaign, the campaign to free Happy, has been so powerful because of supporters like you. While we're fighting it out in the courts and everyone is competing for attention in a kind of crazy world that we're in right now, we've been able to keep Happy's case on the front and center and keep people talking about it, because while we're working in courts, thousands of you have been calling elected officials in New York City, have been filling out action alerts and tweeting and contacting people in a position of power. And because of that, it's made a real difference. We had Mayor de Blasio come out and say that he agrees that something doesn't feel right about Happy's situation at the Bronx Zoo. We've had the City Council Speaker, Corey Johnson, who's an ex officio board member of the Wildlife Conservation Society, which of course manages the Bronx Zoo. He agreed that Happy does not belong there. Even AOC has tweeted and retweeted sympathetically about Happy's case, which doesn't fall in her district, but is just right next door. Just in the last year, 1.3 million of you filled out a Change.org petition demanding that Happy be sent to a sanctuary. And thousands of you have contacted directly elected officials at every level in the state of New York and have urged them to take up Happy's cause. And because of that, we're seeing these people in a position of power, elected officials and others, celebrities, journalists, all coming out and saying, Bronx Zoo, something doesn't feel right here. It's time for Happy to go. We've been inspired by the passion so many people have shown for freeing Happy from the Bronx Zoo. An amazing 1.3 million people have signed a petition calling for her release to a sanctuary. Tens of thousands of people tweeted for Happy when we held a Twitter Day of Action. So many of you sent in videos, photos, and words of encouragement when we asked for you to share why you believe the Bronx Zoo should free Happy to a sanctuary, and all of those actions are making a big difference. Changing a legal status quo that has existed for thousands of years was never going to happen overnight. And so while sometimes it may appear that our cases are kind of running into a wall, that the courts are never going to agree that non-human animals like Happy should have any legal rights, the fact is that we're seeing real progress, and it's because not only are we working in the courts, but because you're spreading this on social media, talking to your friends, talking to your elected officials, this issue has stayed in the public sphere. And even with everything going on in the world today, there's still a tremendous amount of energy and passion for freeing animals like Happy to a better place, to where they can express at least something of what makes them who they are. We would not be able to do any of this work if it wasn't for the support, financial and moral and every other kind of support that we get from folks like you. So I want to send out a big thank you on behalf of everyone at the Non-Human Rights Project for all your donations and all your support. And I urge you, if you're able to, make a small donation, a donation of any size, to show your support for the campaign to free Happy. You can click on the link below, or you can text free Happy, all one word, to 44321. So that's free Happy, all one word, to 44321. Or click on the link below, or just go to our website, nonhumanrights.org. But more importantly, or just as importantly, is to continue tweeting, to continue talking about her case, and sharing with others why you believe this is important.
I want Happy to be released to a sanctuary because I believe Happy is not something, but someone.
I want Happy to be released to sanctuary because she deserves the freedom to roam and live life the way nature intended for her.
And all we want to do is see Happy released into a sanctuary so she can enjoy the rest of her life. No animals should suffer like that.
Because I believe that all elephants deserve to live in dignity and freedom, and sanctuary is the closest thing that we can provide to elephants held in captivity.
The first time I saw Happy was when my son was 2 years old. He is about to be 37, and I took him up to the Bronx Zoo. It's very vivid seeing Happy there, who broke my heart to see a creature so magnificent locked in prison.
Help Happy. Happy is an elephant living in solitude.
She just doesn't have her liberty, so it's about time that some people do some good, so we're on it.
Happy belongs in a herd. Elephants should not be alone.
I want Happy to be sent to a sanctuary because intelligent social beings should not be held in captivity.
And I'm begging you, let Happy enjoy the rest of her life in a sanctuary.
It is the very least we can do for Happy.
Set her free!
Thanks to supporters like you, who we know can be as tireless as we are, we've been making tremendous progress in our work in the Nonhuman Rights Project ever since we began in 2013. Well, we actually began many years before that, but it took us 5 or 10 years of work before we were even ready to file our first lawsuits. And as you know, those were on behalf of chimpanzees in 2013. In the 7 years since we've been filing these lawsuits, we have been chipping away at the anachronistic idea that all non-human animals are legal things, that they lack the capacity for legal rights. They aren't legal persons, that they don't have the capacity for any rights at all. If judges, if courts think that our clients are legal things and don't have the capacity for rights, then we're going to lose our cases. If they can imagine that they're legal persons and they can have the right to bodily liberty that's protected by a writ of habeas corpus, which we're seeking in Happy's case, then they too can begin to imagine the same world that we do, in which non-human animals like Happy and others have fundamental legal rights. Remember that we filed the Happy's case in October 2018. So first we had a struggle in front of the Supreme Court way out west in Albion, New York. In November of 2018, Judge Bannister, the Supreme Court Justice, became the first judge in the world to issue an order under a habeas corpus statute for an elephant. At that time, we tried to proceed in her court because if we lost, we wanted to go to the appellate court that court answered to. But Judge Bannister decided to remove our case to the Bronx Supreme Court over our objection, but that's what she did. It turned out we were delighted. That's where we met Justice Allison Tuitt, who is a Supreme Court Justice in the Bronx. We had, until we met Justice Tuitt, only have had the opportunity to argue perhaps for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And it was clear from some of the judicial decisions that we were getting that the judges might not have fully understood what our arguments were. Justice Tuitt allowed us over 3 days to argue for 13 hours, both sides for 13 hours. So at the end of 13 hours, we felt that we had the right amount of time we needed to be able to explain to the judge, carefully and in detail, why an elephant such as Happy should indeed have any right, but specifically the right to bodily liberty that's protected by a writ of habeas corpus. During the 13 hours, because we argued sometime on one day in September, one day in October, one day in January, we were concerned that the Bronx Zoo would move Happy outside of the state of New York, which could mean that Justice Tuitt would lose jurisdiction over our habeas corpus case. So we asked we asked the Bronx Zoo very nicely if it would agree not to move Happy. So since the Bronx Zoo refused to agree that it would not move Happy during the pendency of the case, Justice Stewart actually had to issue 2 preliminary injunctions against them to require them to keep Happy. So in February of 2020, Justice Stewart issued her decision. It was quite an extraordinarily favorable decision. It's not that we won. She began the discussion of our case by saying, regrettably, we had to lose. I'll explain why in a second. But she made it clear that and said that we had persuaded her that Happy should not stay at the Bronx Zoo, that Happy should be taken to a sanctuary. She also said that we had brought before her, as we had believed we had, 5 of the most highly competent, extraordinary expert witnesses about elephants in the world. And she believed what they told her. And what they told her was Happy was this extraordinarily cognitively complex being who was autonomous, who was much like a human in her cognition, and who had dignity. And she thought that perhaps Happy should also have bodily liberty. She also recognized that Judge Fahey, who is a Court of Appeals judge who in 2018 had been the single judge and the only judge of the highest court of a jurisdiction to rule on the merits of our case, who said that we were correct, that he had pointed out that a being like then a chimpanzee, but a being like Happy, should be determined to be a person not based on what a dictionary says or whether they're things or not, but on what the inherent characteristic of them as a species. In other words, in order to decide whether Happy should have the right to bodily liberty that's protected by a writ of habeas corpus, we need to look at who elephants are, how are they born, what are their inherent characteristics. And just as in the elephant case, in Happy's case, we had put in enormous numbers of expert opinions, and the judge made it clear that she thought that Happy was an extraordinarily cognitively complex, autonomous being. And now, here's a message from Hourglass, a cruelty-free luxury beauty brand and longtime supporter and friend of the Nonhuman Rights Project.
I will never forget the look in her eyes. There was a deep sadness that came through the first time I saw Happy the elephant. At that point, she'd been alone in a cage at the Bronx Zoo for almost 40 years. One look at her and you could feel her suffering. Hourglass Cosmetics has always been a cruelty-free beauty brand. But to us, cruelty-free is about more than not hurting animals. It's about helping them. And we want to help release Happy to a sanctuary where she'll have space and companionship and her freedom. I'm honored to be Happy's trustee, and I'm proud of the work we're doing at Hourglass to support the NhRP. We're doing everything we can, but the NhRP still needs your help. Please join us in the fight to free Happy.
Hi, I'm Courtney Fern, the Nonhuman Rights Project's Director of Government Relations and Campaigns. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening for Free Happy, a virtual event. Since launching our grassroots campaign to free Happy almost 2 years ago, we've received incredible support from people in New York City and around the world. People who understand that it's wrong for Happy to be imprisoned alone at the Bronx Zoo and wish to see her freed to an elephant sanctuary where her right to liberty will be respected and she will be able to live freely with other elephants. Over the past 2 years, people have been incredible about sharing Happy's story and raising awareness about our fight for her freedom. With your support and help, we've created a global movement to free Happy and raised awareness about the need to recognize the rights of both her and other non-human animals. Thanks to compassionate people like you, we are closer than ever to winning the fight to free Happy from the Bronx Zoo. From signing petitions and completing action alerts, to attending rallies, posting on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, millions of people have helped put pressure on the Bronx Zoo and the Wildlife Conservation Society to release Happy to an elephant sanctuary where she can reclaim the freedom that was stolen from her so long ago. We are so grateful for all of your help in the fight for Happy's freedom, and tonight we ask you to take another action to urge the Bronx Zoo to finally send Happy to a sanctuary. please complete the action at the link below to send an email to the president of the Wildlife Conservation Society asking that Happy be freed. Thank you again for your passion and support of our work to free Happy.
Hi, my name is Miki Suzuki, and I'm the Development Director for the Nonhuman Rights Project. Thank you to all of our supporters, donors, volunteers, and everyone in between who has helped us in our fight to free Happy. We're encouraged daily by all types of support that we receive from those who'd like to see Happy live out the rest of her life in sanctuary. Thank you to those who have stuck by us from the very beginning, and those who are new to our organization, who are eager to learn more. The NhRP team is small yet mighty, but we couldn't do any of the work that we do without you, our supporters. So from all of us at the NhRP, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us for this special event.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening to learn more about Happy's case and how you can be a part of it. Because of the unique work and mission of the Nonhuman Rights Project, we're seeing real progress in the fight to extend legal rights to non-human animals. And we hope that you're leaving here with a sense of hope that this kind of change really is possible. As a result of our unique work and mission, legislatures, courts, and public opinion all over the world are starting to take this issue of rights and legal personhood for non-human animals very seriously. Happy's case and Happy's story are a big part of this growth. And case by case and jurisdiction by jurisdiction, we and others who believe in this mission are beginning to seriously and truly change the world for non-human animals like Happy. Before you leave, please take a minute to do 3 simple actions. First, sign up for our email list so you can stay informed about Happy's case and our other work. Second, complete the action alert urging the Wildlife Conservation Society and the Bronx Zoo to send Happy to a sanctuary. And third, if you're in a position to do so, please donate any amount. It's a big help. And you can do that using the link below or text FREE HAPPY, all one word, to 44321.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
To set them free.
Thank you.
Break every chain, rattle the cage of history.
Thank you.
'Cause they've been waiting, patient.
Thank you.
Take back their dignity. It was
Thank
there
you.
all along. Some just didn't see.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate your joining us tonight.
No one's born to live in bondage. We're all meant to be free, meant to be free. We're meant to live in liberty. We have